Go. Let's bring in General Keith Kellogg, former National Security Advisor to President Trump and Vice President Pence, and a Fox News contributor. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us on such an important day. Where do you fall on these dealings with the Taliban? Should we be heaping praise on the terror group in trying to get those Americans out, or should we be talking tougher?
Yeah, Sandra, thanks for having me. Look, I'm listening to those comments. Those are moronic comments, and they're underscored by weakness. We just lost a 20-year war, not because of the great work and efforts of young men and women that we had fighting over the past 20 years, but I believe because of imbecilic decisions made by President Biden and his national security staff, and it has long and far-ranging implications. I think tomorrow, Sandra, we're going to see one of the greatest trolls of all time when the Taliban government stands up, and it has virtually the same people in that government that we saw 20 years ago, with the exception of some people that were held in Guantanamo. One, I think, has a $10 million bounty on his head. And what I mean by far-reaching implications, you're going to see one of the largest terrorist states formed in the Middle East. You're looking at a nation now that has a border contiguous to Iran. You're going to see the rise of ISIS-K. You're going to see the rise of the Haqqani network. You're going to see the rise of al-Qaeda. And you've got the Taliban there all supporting it. So I think when I had hoped we would be able to shift and look towards China and look towards Russia and focus a lot on them, we're going to be facing now another terrorist state in the Middle East, and we're going to have to keep our eyes on it. It's just terrible.
As you well know, General, there's a lot of veterans that fought during this long war who have such an issue with that, and to have that image that you just painted in their heads makes it more difficult as we approach the 20-year look back at those attacks on 9/11. Chairman McCall joined us earlier. Michael McCall, sitting member of Congress, he too took issue with the way we are addressing the Taliban, suggesting that the administration is looking at some new and improved Taliban. Listen.
This is not a new and improved Taliban. This is the same old Taliban that's going to go back to their old ways. And you know what really the saddest thing is, we look at tomorrow, the 20th anniversary of 9/11, to see the Taliban take over that country and have an inaugural ceremony and then raise the Taliban flag over our United States embassy is an image that I think most Americans will be sickened by.
Most Americans, most veterans in particular. While we're getting brand new images, we'll put some up of those journalists that were beaten and tortured by the Taliban. You've seen these images, General. And now Fox News, while we don't have the pictures just yet, we have them. We don't have them for the TV screen. We're getting brand new images right now of an Afghan interpreter who, as I read through here, it was an interpreter that worked with the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Marines, and the U.S. Army. An Afghan interpreter, we're being told, who aided the military for the last decade. He spoke to Fox News last night. He said the Taliban beat him in his home for his suspected ties to the American government. He and his family have been facing all these delays at the airport trying to get out. He's got a son and 2 daughters. They assumed the Taliban wanted to kill him and his son, so they fled to the airport. They still couldn't get through. They came back. The Taliban was waiting for them. These are the horrors of this terror group that are playing out right now. But still, you've got the State Department, even Ned Price, the spokesperson, not even wanting to, his words, pass judgment on this group, the Taliban.
Yeah, for people to say this is a kinder and gentler Taliban, it's just absurd. Here's my biggest concern with the Taliban we see now. They've gone through 20 years of war. They've seen what we can do and what we cannot do. They're more sophisticated, and I don't mean that in a good way. They understand us a lot better than they did before. They understand the ability to network with other terrorist groups. I think they're going to be worse to handle than before, and I think they're going to bring actually greater threats to the United States than before. So again, we're back to where we were at 20 years ago, worse. It's now a terrorist state on steroids.
General, before I let you go, your reflections 20 years later on the attacks of 9/11.
Yeah, you know, Sandra, I was in the Pentagon on 9/11 and in the National Military Command Center after American Airlines 77 hit the building. And I'll never forget those days, and sitting in the National Military Command Center alongside the Secretary of Defense and the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dick Myers. and watching, as we were watching the screens of the towers falling, I remember turning to Dick Meyer saying, the world has just changed, and it really did. And the American military really responded quite well, as did the nation. I was so proud to be an American on what happened after 9/11 and the way we reacted to this. And I think Americans should reflect on that, of what it meant to be a very, very united nation after 9/11. And that's where we need to get back to.
General, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time all through this. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sandra.
All right, John.
Always good.